Hello again, people. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. We are back with another one of these fantastic properties in Socorro County. There are two parts of New Mexico that I scrounge all year to find property in. One is this subdivision in Socorro. The other is the Black Mesa up in Rio Arriba County. And I scrounge for these properties because when we list them, they tend to be in and out of inventory super fast. You guys like them, so we like them too. Whatever the case, as you can see from the headline, it's pretty obvious why these are so enviable, because it's in Socorro County where there are zero planning and zoning restrictions, no ordinances, etc. So all the types of things that you can't do in most other parts of New Mexico, you can do here. Whether that's just camping indiscriminately on the land, living out of an RV for 8 months a year, or, building a tiny home, shipping container home, earthship home, a yurt, so on and so forth. These are all the sorts of things that you can do here. They have no restrictions on them. So, as noted, these tend to sell mucho rapido. Last one that we listed sold in about an hour, so that gives you a sense. Anyway, we're a minute into the video. If you're intrigued, let the disembodied voice finish, and then I'd encourage you to act sooner rather than later. With all that said, let's get to it. This is reference number SCNM7624, located as noted in Socorro County. It's a 5-acre parcel of land in the Rancho Rio Grande subdivision, and as you saw up top, these 5 acres are priced at $500 per acre for a total of $2,500. Super cheap, super affordable for a considerable piece of land. All right, guys, with all that said, let's pull this up on a map, show you guys where this is. As with all of our listing pages, we have GPS coordinates down here. Click them, and up on Google Maps it shall appear. Unlike our other listing pages, however, it should be noted that we only have one set of coordinates on here. Normally we have a center point and then the 4 corner points. We do not have that for this property, and I will discuss that a little bit later in the video. For now, however, let's look at where this is on a map and talk about it. All right, so first off, property is located down here in Socorro County. Let's pull back, show you where this is on planet Earth. If you're familiar with Albuquerque, Albuquerque is in the north central part of the state. This property is roughly about 40 miles south of Albuquerque. If we measure distance, you can see, yep, about 40 miles. And this should be an easy 40 miles because, of course, you're right here just west of the I-25. So you got a straight shot up the highway into Albuquerque. It's probably more like a 30-minute drive, realistically. And, of course, if you don't like driving, if you don't like fighting the traffic, you've got a nearby Rio Metro line here in Belen. A quick 15-minute drive from the property into nearby Belen. Roughly 15 miles as the crow flies into there. So, if you're living and working in Albuquerque while you're getting your land set up down here and you got to commute back and forth for a couple months, it should be easy to do however you want to do it. Rancho Rio Grande subdivision is one that kind of starts all the way up here in Valencia County and extends down here into Socorro. And all this land that I'm highlighting right here is this subdivision. This was chopped up back in the late 50s, early 60s by a developer who surprisingly did not overdo it. They didn't chop everything up into like little quarter-acre properties or half-acre properties like you find in a lot of parts of the state. Instead, they left everything very generously proportioned with 5-acre lots. So everybody all throughout here has, comparable sized property, nice chunks of land. It should be noted the county lines are redrawn some decades later after this was subdivided. So units 1, 2, 3 exist up here in Valencia County. Units 4, 5, and 6 exist down here in Socorro County. And as you can imagine, this one is in Unit 6. Of course, so this property sits in close proximity not only to nearby Belen, but also Los Lunas. So amongst other things, you're going to have easy access to the Walmart Supercenter that's up here in Los Lunas. Hang on. There we go. It's over here. Yes, right there. As well as the UNM Valencia campus, the Isleta Casino Resort, Tierra del Sol Country Club and Golf Course, and the aforementioned Rio Metro. Additionally, guys, Belen, which is your closest town over here, if you zoom in on the map, you can see it's it's a small town, but it's a densely populated area. Anything you're going to need as far as amenities, as far as groceries or supplies or building supplies, you're going to be able to find out here. And certainly schools, churches, medical, easily accessible here in nearby Belen. Now, I will point out to you that the access route here is off the 25, Camino del Llano, into the subdivision here, the Rancho Rio Grande subdivision, and then you just sort of make your way south on these nicely laid out roads that are up here in Valencia County until you get all the way down, to the property way down here. And perhaps you're looking at this saying, hey, disembodied voice, why don't I just take the 25 all the way down to like the 60 and then approach it from the south? Wouldn't that be more logical? Well, I don't disagree, but here's the thing. Our photographer, who's basically become an expert on this subdivision because he's been out there roughly 7 million times, claims that the northern approach is the easier approach. So there you go. Actually, in regards to this property, what he said is that the 15-mile drive from Berlin down here to the land is actually easy to do in any kind of vehicle till you get about a half mile from the property. This is roughly the half-mile mark. And then you need something that is off-road capable, a larger vehicle, a truck, something like that, to make the last half-mile trek. He claims this is an easier approach than the southern approach, so I tend to believe him on that. By the way, I just want to say, this is an unnamed road in Socorro County. If you go north up here into Valencia, and I'll save you the scrolling, but if you go up here north into Valencia, what you'll see is that it's called Twining Lane. So if it's actually still named in Socorro County, it's likely named Twining Lane. I believe Twining was the name of the original developer out there. It was like the Twining Land Corporation, etc. Anyway, so let's just talk about this. So as noted, the access point here is off of Berlin. That's one way to do it. If you zoom in here on the map, you look at Valencia County here, you're going to see some nice development out here, what is probably a kind of gated subdivision right here, as well as some nice homes out here. A lot of, it's built up a little bit in this region. Of course, you've got this airport over here, which from what I understand makes next to zero noise. So it's not, I guess it's not that bad living right next to the airport. Anyway, if you really study this area, you'll see there's some nice homes out here. You'll see there's some paved roads. You see there's pretty much power all throughout the subdivision. Now, this is what happens when you have planning and zoning laws in a place, is that people come out here, they start building, and everybody's got nice uniform-looking houses, things like that. More people build, etc. And then the utilities get in their mind that they can make some money by, being out here, and etc. So utilities get set up throughout the region. When you go into an area like Socorro County, where you have the advantage of, hey, I can do whatever the hell I want, of course, you find less of that. The roads are less maintained because, of course, the properties are not being taxed as much as they are in Valencia County, so the county's not making as much money to come out here and deal with the roads. Though, as noted, the Twining Lane Road is, easy to drive down all the way into Unit 6, etc. Additionally, you don't have utilities all throughout this region. Now, if you zoom in on the map, you'll see things like this. You'll see some people who have set up camp out here. They've set up homes out here. They've actually kind of graded little, driveways, pathways for themselves. These people have utilities. I don't actually see a power pole on this one, but if you zoom in on some of the other home sites out here, you will see some power poles in this region. Point is, they're not ubiquitous. They're not all throughout the area, and they're not necessarily right by this property. There's no power at the property line. Now, I will point out, right here about a half mile from the property, you have this structure. You have this person living out here. I don't see a power pole on this one. I mean, I would think there's some kind of electric hookup. That being said, power hookup. That being said, if you come in here, what is roughly about a mile south of the property, southeast of the property, you will see here some structures, some land out here with some power lines on this property. I don't know if it's abandoned. I don't know if anybody's using it. This one looks like it's more of a home site. You can see some power out here. Blah, blah, blah. Additionally, as you go south by where the 60 meets the 25 in this region, you will see more developed, homes and sites out here that do have power. So, point being, it's probably not close, is the point. Now, if you zoom in here and you look, what you'll see is that this, whatever it is, this road, this cutout, there are actually commercial power lines running all the way along this down into that portion southeast that I was showing you earlier. So that's close to the property. That being said, they are commercial power lines. So not the kind of thing that you get easily hooked up to. Now, quick thing, guys. I want to go to the photo gallery. I just want to show you something that I thought was interesting. So first off, this is the road conditions leading out to the property. As noted, easily navigable in most any vehicle type, so you get roughly about a half mile from the thing. What is notable, what I have never seen in this subdivision before, is this. Warning, buried fiber optic cables. Now, what my photographer reports is that as you near this property, you begin to see more and more of these along Twining. You begin to see more and more of these as you get closer to the land. Additionally, this apparently sits very close to the property boundaries, if not on the property boundaries. So you've got what looks to be an underground utility box. You've got a warning about fiber optic cables being laid down here. And you've got this manhole cover in the middle of the desert. Now, my photographer reported that this was kind of an anomaly. It's not like there was one of these every 500 feet. Additionally, I'm not selling this property to you guys as like, hey, look at this, underground utilities. It'll be totally easy to hook up, gang. I don't know much about this. I'm not an authority on this, so I don't want to present this like, oh, look at this. This is great. I don't know much about this. The value of this property is that it's, free of these planning and zoning laws. You're not going to have those restrictions that you have elsewhere. So things, the adventurous types who want to do things they can't do elsewhere, they can do here. And it's a really affordable piece of land. Those are the advantages to this. If you want to do some research on this, if you know way more about this than I do, and you say, oh my God, this is an incredible advantage, this guy doesn't realize what he's selling here to have something like this on the property, then take advantage of it, please. But the point is, I don't know if this is, a viable way of getting some sort of power or cable or whatever to the property, and I don't want to sell it that way. I don't want to misrepresent it. Anywho, guys, oh, by the way, just in regards to that last point, my guess is whatever the hell is going on down here, whatever they're installing, it's probably to service more of this region over here. I mean, if you start to zoom in on here, you'll see more home sites here off these named roads. My guess is whatever they're doing there is meant to eventually service that area. I don't know. We'll come back to this in a second. Anyway, in regards to the property itself, of course, like all the land in the subdivision, it's nice, flat, what I call buildable land, easy to build on, easy to just bring an RV out there, park it, start camping, start, if you're building, you've probably got, some vehicle that you're living in during the time that you're building. This is an easy place. It's not a place where you have to come in and do a lot of landscaping, do a lot of excavating. You don't need to get rid of a million boulders and rocks. It's not too hilly, not too slopey, etc. Slopey, not a real word, but I use it in every video pretty much. So on and so forth. So you've got some really nice land out here that you can park an RV on, you can park a trailer on, whether you're going to, mobile home, whether you're going to use a, cement foundation or not. Should be pretty accommodating, should be pretty easy to do. And as you can see in some of these photos, you've got really pretty views, unobstructed views of the Manzano Mountains nearby, etc. Also in these photos, you can kind of see the power lines that are off in the distance, those commercial power lines that I was talking about earlier, etc. Anywho, I will let you guys scroll through the photo gallery on your own time. Point is, it's a very nice piece of land. Now, just a couple things that I want to address that I was talking about earlier. I was talking about how there was no planning and zoning laws. I just want to show you, if you click this link, they don't have a formal office because it doesn't exist. But this is on their website, on the Socorro County website. They say, and I like to point this out in every video I make in the subdivision, Socorro County does not have a zoning or permitting ordinance at this time. There are no county regulations or restrictions on the use of real property, blah, blah, blah. This is important to me. I like to show this to you guys. I always like to dig into covenants and restrictions and zoning law because I see a lot of people who do what I do who do not do that, and they just sell these properties like, oh yeah, it's RV friendly. It's not. It's RV friendly for like an hour, then the sheriff shows up and writes you a fine or something. So, that's not the case out here. Additionally, you'll occasionally encounter subdivisions that have covenants and restrictions. The other nice thing about Rancho Rio Grande is that it does not have that either. So there's really nobody telling what you can and cannot do. Additionally, we also have some helpful links here in the table, such as PNM, of course, the local utility. If you want to reach out to them and ask, hey, you've got these underground cables running through the area. I got a power line about a half mile from my property. Give me a sense. What's it going to take for me to get hooked up to the grid? If you want to go that way. Of course, in an area like this, we always encourage our buyers, take a look at solar. It's probably a way more affordable option. But if you want to dig into this, this is the resource for that. Additionally, also in this set of links, we have the Office of the State Engineer. A lot of our buyers want to do holding tanks. They want to do rainwater catchment. That might not be viable in this part of the country. So you might want to drill a well out here. If you want to get permitted for a residential well, you have to talk to this statewide office, and they will help you with that. It should also be noted, we recommend all our buyers, if you're going to, get into drilling a well, something like that, call local vendors, ask them, say, what is the water table depth in this region? If you dig around on the state engineer's website, you'll find the depths of local wells. You never really find anything conclusive, like, oh, it's definitely, 100 feet in this location or 200 feet in that location. But you get a sense, you can kind of ballpark it based off local well depths, how viable an option that is. Et cetera, et cetera. With all that said, one last thing I want to get into. So, as noted, I was talking about the GPS coordinates order earlier, guys. I said we only have one of them. I want to explain why that is. So typically with these properties that we list, we have a lot of software that tells us things about the land, and GPS coordinates is one of them. And the software doesn't invent this information. It interfaces with county data to figure out, where these properties are located and what their approximate corner points are, etc. Socorro County is one of the few counties in America that doesn't interface with this software. So in order to get these coordinates, what we have to do is, first thing we do is we get a plat map. We do a sort of Google Earth overlay to see roughly where this lot would fall at. But then we call the county GIS office. There's a woman there named Gail. She's very helpful. And Gail will always tell us coordinates for where the property is. Now, let me just quickly say this, guys. I feel I have an obligation to make these coordinates as correct as possible. Socorro County, I'm sure, does not feel the same obligation. So the point is that, as I say, with all the properties that we sell, getting them surveyed at a certain point, particularly if you're going to build, particularly if you're going to put up a fence, something like that, you're going to need to get the property surveyed. And I say that with all the lots that we sell, whether we have one coordinate or five. The coordinates are always a fair approximation of the location of the property. But when you get into these Socorro County lots where I have somebody in an office who's giving me information which, I think is kind of grain of salt reliable, I've looked at enough plat maps to know, okay, that's where the property is, but is that exactly where the property is, or is it 50 feet north, or, 50 yards north, or 100 yards south, or whatever? They don't get that precise when they tell us this. So, interest of full disclosure, that is roughly where the property is. You buy this property, the photos that we have are representative of this land, etc. But the coordinates are from the county, they're not from the software. And I trust the software a lot more than I trust the county. Blah, blah, blah. So, interest of full disclosure on that. All right, guys, with all that said, I really like these lots, especially for people who want to go and start building home sites and they don't want to spend too much on the land. At a price like this is going to afford you, way more money to put into things like, getting solar out to the property, just getting the property built in the first place. So it's a really good deal, and it's one of the many reasons why I like these lots. If you like this too, and you are so compelled to purchase it, come up here, click the Buy Now button, and we'll take you to this secure checkout page where we have the information that we collect for the deed. So legal name for deed, we ask you for that. We ask you for your tax address. Where's Socorro County going to send the nominal $40 annual bill to? And then agree to the terms of service down here. Click the next button on the next page. We'll ask for credit or debit card information. For the record, guys, once you give us money, as far as we are concerned, you own the property. That being said, the process then unfolds like this. We're going to write up a new deed. We're going to email it to you within 24 hours. Once you tell us it's good, yes, you spelled my name right, you spelled my wife's name right, so on and so forth, we're going to autograph it, notarize it, and mail it off to the county to be recorded. The county will record, and then they will forward it on to you. So from start to finish, it's about 3 weeks before you have a hard copy of that deed in your hands. That being said, as noted, we are the owners, and as far as we're concerned, once you give us money, you are now the owner. So please, if you want to go out there immediately and start hanging out, start camping, start building, whatever, please be our guest. With all that said, guys, thanks for watching the video, and we will see you in the next one.